If you're someone who fears that no one will truly see you or accept you as you are, I want you to pay attention. There are two questions that keep coming up whenever there's a conversation about living as your authentic self. One, what if I'm not worthy of unconditional love? I've seen this in the comments a few times. Two, what if who I am at my core isn't good enough? Or worse, what if I am naturally flawed? These are heavy, valid concerns, so let's tackle them. First, know this and know peace. Any love you receive, especially in your adult life, will in some way be conditional on who you present yourself to be. It's a tough truth to swallow, but accepting it can be so liberating. In our natural world, unconditional love, the kind that a lot of people crave, will usually come from two places. From you to yourself, and possibly from those people who raised you, depending on their capacity to offer it. The second one is never guaranteed because many of us were raised by wounded people who are also trying to earn love. People love us based on what our being, our presence does to their lives. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing. It can actually be very healthy. And if you feel the need to argue, why don't you love everybody you've ever met? I thought so. If you can accept this, it will be a game changer. I've heard people say, but when I was just myself, they walked away as a rebuttal to why they wouldn't stop performing. And I think to myself, that's the point. When I say stop disappearing, stop editing yourself, I'm not promising that people will magically see you and love you completely. What I mean is that when you show up as a lie, people aren't loving you anyway. They're not loving you. They are loving the mask you've created. Everybody loses, but the biggest loser is you. Why? Because you are the writer of the script, you are the editor, the producer, and the performer, and that might sound fun if you're in a movie or a play, but in real life it's exhausting because you are the only one who knows that this is a performance. Nobody there is there because they're genuinely excited to see the characters you've created. They're not watching because they're truly invested in your story. They're most likely just living their lives unaware, and meanwhile you're dying inside, miserable. In a world where even the most earnest love is conditional on something, at least at first, why not choose to show up as yourself so that the condition of the love you receive is your authenticity, your natural rhythm and essence? It's a no-brainer. The truth is, many of us fear both being alone and lonely, and I think that's one of the core barriers to self-acceptance. I genuinely believe that humans are meant to be in community with each other. Like, you will never hear me preaching the whole forsake all and be alone gospel. But the problem with staying in spaces and with people who you can't share yourself with is that if you take a breath between your performing, people pleasing, overextending, and overanalyzing, you'll realize that despite being surrounded, you are still incredibly lonely. There's a specific ache that comes from being surrounded by people, but never being truly seen or known. The problem is still there. You are just distracting yourself. You are actively participating in your own isolation. I've made a video dissecting loneliness here, so watch it if you want to explore the topic a bit more. There are better and more fulfilling options to solve the whole I don't want to be alone issue if that's what you fear. Get a pet. Yeah. Or go to a third space where you can be around other people without further disconnecting yourself. I'd rather be lonely by myself, knowing I haven't found my people yet, than stay in a reality that reinforces the idea that there's no hope for me. A reality that tells me that no matter where I go, the cost of my belonging will be my erasure. Oh, no! You are suffering because you are living a lie, and lies, my love, come at the cost of your peace and in extreme cases, your sanity. Of course, people will walk away. It'd be unusual if they didn't. But you'll be a match with the ones who don't. And you won't ever have to stay up at night wondering if they'll walk away the moment they see all of you. And before you find your people, you can be the first person to welcome your true self by staying instead of running to hide behind another persona. Let me paint you a picture. If I want an orange and you give me an apple, I'll reject it and I'll move on to find what I want. Now, You could be upset with me for rejecting your offering, or you could realize that if I took it, I would do so with some sort of dissatisfaction. Wouldn't it be better for you to go and find someone who likes apples? In the same way, when you pretend to be someone else, people might love it for a while, but when the mask slips, eventually they might leave because that's not what they were looking for. Maybe the fear is not that people won't like the real you, but of the work, the loneliness, and the breaking that learning to accept yourself brings. So maybe the question you should be asking is, how do I learn to accept myself? Another reality to consider is that some people love your mask because that's all you've given them. They think it's who you are. Yes, you are sad and possibly resentful, but they are just unpaid actors in a set you've created. It's not their fault. The problem is the wall you've built. It keeps out the love. Now let's tackle the second fear. What if who I am is flawed or simply not good enough? First of all, that is speculation. You are leading with fear. And let's say you have an idea, like a true idea of who you are, and you really think you are flawed. You cannot hate yourself into change. Hear me? To grow or to even be frustrated enough to change something in your life, you must first be willing to examine it. It's not like hiding behind the persona takes away the flaw. You still have it. You're just spending all your energy trying not to be found out. Why not rechannel that energy into learning about yourself so that you can improve yourself? How do you fix a hole in a wall if you won't take a moment to even look at it? To acknowledge that it is in fact a hole and figure out what you might need to fix it. Growth requires self-awareness and acceptance. If you think you're naturally envious, okay, let's explore it. I would ask myself, is your jealousy really about them? Or is it about you feeling small, about you feeling threatened by someone else's success and attention? So the question changes from, how do I stop being an envious person, to how do I build security within myself? If you think you're naturally verbally abusive or genuinely overly emotional, maybe you're just someone who doesn't know how to emotionally regulate themselves. And if you consider yourself manipulative and controlling, is that what you had to do to be seen as a child? Are you just afraid of being abandoned? That's the beginning of the self-acceptance paradox. You can't improve what you refuse to face. But when you accept the parts of yourself that feel flawed, you can create the space to work through them. With compassion, let your knowledge of who you currently are and who you believe you can become fuel your evolution. When we tie our worth to how other people receive us or to external validation, we are building an incredibly fragile foundation. Of course, it won't withstand the storms of life. The moment someone's opinion changes or love shifts, we find ourselves unsteady. But when we ground ourselves in self-acceptance, we stand on solid ground no matter the circumstances. Your journey shouldn't be about other people. It's about learning yourself so that you can accept yourself and then eventually love yourself. Remember, the love you seek from others will always be conditional on who you present yourself to be, so asking, what if they don't love me unconditionally, becomes irrelevant. Most people will love you as long as you stay lovable to them, and that is determined by their standards, by the kind of life they are open to. If you're being honest, you do that too. Most of us do that. To heal your fear of not being loved by others, try to show up vulnerable. It's the only way to build real intimacy. I always think this. If you want to know the depths of your relationship with a person, be vulnerable with them. However they react to your vulnerability is how you know where you stand with them. I think it's a gift. It's a gift when I show somebody myself and they run away because I think, thank God I found out now. So I can move on somewhere and go and meet people who actually care about the whole of me. All of me. So don't take it as a curse when you're vulnerable and people react the way they do. It's okay. You want a life where you live as you, walking around with your apples or your oranges, and people who like it see you holding it and walk up to you and ask if they can have some. When you allow yourself to be seen authentically, without the mask, without the performance, you create space for genuine, deep love to enter. And that's the kind of love that will transform your life. If you're unsure where to begin in your self-love journey, start by watching this video. It will give you some direction and steps to take in reclaiming your worth. I really hope I've encouraged you to show up as yourself. Let love come to you, not as a prize you have to earn, but as a natural reaction to your true essence. You deserve it. And when it does, you will know that it's real love because it's based on who you truly are. Okay? As always, it's been an absolute pleasure. My name is Pearl, and I'll see you in the next video.